Welcome back to another episode of the Consistency Engine podcast. My name is Dane Patton, one of your hosts. With me, as always, Chase Collier. Chase, how are we doing this morning?
Doing good. Just trying to move and shake and getting through all the good and bad things that happen to us as business owners and as humans.
Yep, it's in my life. It's kind of been an up and down month.
Yes.
Had all kinds of things going on. It's definitely going to be a month that I will remember forever. And you know, I've been kind of. It's funny. We put these podcasts out every single week, but sometimes we record a couple podcasts and we don't get together. And in this specific one, we haven't actually seen each other for 3.5 weeks.
Yeah, almost a month.
Yeah.
And that is rare.
It is rare, and a lot of life has happened in those weeks. So it's definitely a topic that we want to touch on, but I also kind of want to, hear about the things that have been going on in your life, because, we both post on social media a lot, so I get to see what's going on in your life and stuff like that. So it looked like you had a couple of trips since I last seen you.
Yeah, I think just one to Kentucky.
Oh,
Jethro, business partner of mine and a friend, we went down to Kentucky, went to the Bourbon Trail, visited some distilleries, and we went through Mammoth Caves, which was a highlight. If you have never gone to Mammoth Caves, I would put it on your bucket list because it's an amazing sight to see.
That's right, and that's a national park.
Yes,
right? Yes, that's one that's on our radar. Every year we're trying to hit at least one. Sometimes we get 2, maybe 3 national parks in. And I was talking with my oldest son, Charles, and he said that was on his list of top ones that he wants to go to. And I was like, hey, Chase was just there like a week ago.
Definitely want to take my wife back since she wasn't on this trip, but it was beautiful, and I have so many photos and videos on my phone of it, and photos don't do justice. You can't see anything of perspective from it. And when we got there, prior to showing up, we're like, hey, do we need to plan and get a ticket for a tour? Yes, you do. If you're planning on going, make sure you get a ticket. But they had groups of 20 to 50 people going every 15 minutes. Parking lot was packed. Like, a lot of people want to go and see that.
Yeah. Doing what I do for a living, I've actually toured quite a few caves. Not necessarily looking for bats by any means, but
yes.
We've just been on a lot of trips and we've done a lot of cave tours and stuff like that. But that's definitely one I want to take a look at some point.
And what about one of your trips? I know you were just gone for 10 days.
Yeah. We were gone from July 16th and came back on the 26th. So yeah, we were 10, 11 days gone. And we saw a national park as well. We were up in Maine for a week and went to Acadia National Park, and it was amazing. Absolutely beautiful there. A place where you've got ocean, you've got cliffs, you've got forests, and they all come together in one place. So it was awesome. We love to go to, Colorado. We've gone to the, forests and the mountains and stuff like that, but you don't have the ocean. And in this place, you have all 3 together.
And with us being in Nebraska, we have some awesome beef, but I'm sure you had some great seafood out there.
Yeah. The goal that I told a lot of people before I went out is I was just going to try to eat my body's weight in lobsters. I don't think I did that, but
did you get close?
we certainly worked on it, but I didn't eat lobster at every meal. But there was usually lobster of some sort somewhere on our table. So whether it was a steamed lobster, whether it was I ordered lobster nachos at one place.
Huh.
That was interesting. There was even one place that had lobster ice cream. I did not order it. It didn't sound very tasty.
That would not be on my list.
No, but my wife got a pizza with lobster on it. They put lobster on everything, but we drove down to this one little town, and where they catch lobsters, and then it's like right on the water. It's called a lobster pound, and it was called Five Islands Lobster Company, and it was the best best meal that we had, and it was right on, like on the cove, on the cliffs and stuff like that there, and it's an active station, so ships would come up and bring their lobster traps up, and so it was about as fresh as you can get, and it was just some warm butter on top of a toasted bun. It was delicious.
That sounds so good.
Yeah, but we had, all the seafood. We had scallops, and we had fish and shrimp and oysters and mussels and clams, and we don't get the freshest stuff here in Nebraska when it comes to that. And I'd never been to Maine before. I've had lobster plenty of times, and I've never said that I was like a huge fan of lobsters when I do get them, get a surf and turf or something like that. But when you eat a Maine lobster, it's completely different than a lobster you eat here in Nebraska.
I'm sure. So today's episode, diving into that, is we all go through rough patches. We go through rough patches mentally as business owners, as humans, very often. And it takes strength, it takes tenacity and resilience to get through those. But it's something that I thought we should talk about, because we are not bulletproof. Things happen. Things kick us in the teeth when we least expect it. And sometimes it's not even that there's anything wrong in life or business, but we have those negative thoughts in our head. Have stuff telling us we don't deserve it, or like, you need to work harder, you shouldn't be here, this isn't for you, you should try something different. Like, we all get to different spots that, even if we are successful in other people's eyes, part of it's imposter syndrome, but other parts of it is that there are times that there is dark thoughts in our head. And we just want to bring that to light, because it should be discussed. We all have it. We all have to go through it and figure out how to better ourselves, better our situation, and just get through those dark times.
Yeah, I think, one of our mutual friends, he made a post a while ago, and I remember saving it. This was a couple years ago, because it spoke to me, and I think it speaks to most entrepreneurs, and it says, you're not a real entrepreneur if you don't feel like you want to burn everything down and go work at McDonald's some days.
Yes.
And Brandon Brittingham wrote that, and I was like, man, many days I don't feel, that those thoughts don't ever come into my head, but every once in a while that certainly that shows itself, and the whole like, start a business, they say, it's gonna be fun, hire employees, all that kind of stuff. It shows up, and really it's about the mindset, and I've made a couple posts this month, because this has been, I went on this amazing vacation, but this month has been a fairly trying month. Leading up to it, June was one of our better months, and we've talked about on here about opening our second location, and all the growth that we keep seeing and stuff like that, and with that, with new growth comes new challenges, and how we see those challenges, and how we react to it, and I've talked about the version of me a couple of years ago would not have been able to handle these new issues and challenges that continue to show up.
Yeah.
Just on Monday, I was here, and we had water all over the floor because our furnace and AC thing was leaking, and it was all clogged and stuff. And it's like what else can happen here? But if you follow me on Facebook and Instagram, or you follow the business and stuff like that, at the beginning of this month, we had a major accident with one of our employees. Our John, one of our sales inspectors, somebody came across the double line on a highway and head-on collision. There's nothing that you can plan for, nothing that you want to ever get the call and hear that, or somebody that you care about was in a major accident. Also, one of your employees, and a brand new truck, completely totaled. But the truck did its job. It saved his life. He's banged up. So we're dealing through all that. Like that was not something that we were planning for and thinking about. Now, as a business owner, you have to have that stuff's always in the back of your mind when when you have people out there on the road and doing work, like that's always in the back of your mind. You hope it's never going to happen, but it does happen. And then we've got people that we have insurances and we have all those kinds of things. And hopefully you're a business owner and you have those things.
If you don't have insurance and you own a business, go get it.
Yes, exactly. If you don't do anything off of this episode, do that. But so that's been going on, and we're opening a second location, but then that gets thrown to the back burner because now I'm trying to do the job of a couple other people and fill in the gaps of what's needed. And then, of course, anytime that you take time away from your business, things run smoothly when I'm not here. But then when you're down a couple people, that also throws a wrench into things. But I got back from my vacation on Sunday night and was here on Monday. And I was like, hey, what do you need? And they're pretty much have everything taken care of. There's no fires for me to put out there. And that was just an amazing feeling, because the feeling that I had before going on my trip was like I didn't want to leave because of all this stuff that was going on. And it was great to kind of take a step away and get that mental recharge and reset, because I was running 16-hour days for about a week and a half before we left, just because there's so much to do, and then dealing with insurances and lawyers and all that kind of stuff. And so often did those thoughts come into my head. Do I want to continue to do this? All those things, like I can't stop those from happening, but what I can control is how I react to them.
Yes.
And what how much energy and effort do I want to give to those thoughts? And what do? I just stay consistent with my normal routines.
Hashtag.
Yeah, and I mean that's how I've come to figure out how to deal with that kind of stuff, is I just fall back to the basics. Okay, there's so much stuff going on, so many things that I can't control. What can I control? I can control how I show up. I can continue going to the gym. I can continue what I put into my body, whether it's food or whether it's information, knowledge, all that kind of stuff. What am I listening to? Do I want to have this pity party and say, woe is me, why is all this stuff happening? Or do I say, okay, it's happening, but I can deal with this. And how am I going to deal with it? Well, it's going to be, if I can't do anything, I'm going to drink a gallon of water a day. I can control that.
Yeah.
I can control the food that I'm putting in. I mean, it sounds so simple because it is so simple.
So sometimes we just overanalyze, overthink every thought that comes into our head. And sometimes, like you're saying with the incident with the truck, is sometimes things are spontaneous. Other times things are a slow burn. I'm sure most of us listening, and us included, there's always been that voice back there. And we do our best to drown it out, put it in a locked box, and it doesn't appear. But there's other times that it is a flip of a switch and something happens. And like Dane said, you control how you react to it. Someone asked me the other day, he's a younger entrepreneur, and he's like, hey, I've been doing this for 2 years and I don't feel like I'm making any progress. I'm in my head with everything. Should I make a change? I might be better in a different industry. And kind of like Dane was hinting at, is I said it doesn't matter what industry you're in, what service, product, anything you're providing, is you need to find you. You need to find your values, your mission, what impact you want to leave. Because if you don't have that clarity, you are going to get burnt out. You are going to let those dark thoughts sink in a little bit more. And when you have that clarity and that vision, it becomes a lot easier to kind of ignore them and think the right thoughts. With what you were saying about the information you digest too, is there's something called Murphy's Law, and I fully believe in Murphy's Law. Bad things continue to happen to people kind of in sequence. And again, we choose how to react to it, but when you surround yourself with negativity, more and more negative things are going to happen. And when you surround yourself with positivity, whether it is podcasts, books, information, the right people in your corner, they don't happen as often and you react to them in a better headspace. And a lot of us, when we have those dark thoughts, how do you react? Who do you have around you that you can talk to them about? Because there are some times that I'm like, hey, I know this is a me thing and it's all in my head, but I need someone to talk to about this. And I strongly recommend, if you haven't talked to somebody about this stuff in your head before, you should. But it's really about, what is your vision, staying consistent with it, and just being able to do things for the right reason and drowning some of those noises out. And in my whole journey, they've always been there. It's just a matter of your perspective of them and if you're going to let them influence you.
Yeah. I mean, it's just those. There's always going to be challenges, and with growth, becomes greater challenges, and we just become better versions of ourselves that are more capable and have more capacity to handle more of that. There's always going to be stress. You're never going to fully arrive and never have, some sort of issue or problem that arises in your life. It's just, do I give it power?
Yeah.
Give that power over me? Or if I say, no, that's not the, that's just a hiccup or a bump in the road. It's not going to define who I am. It's not going to define my business. It's none of that is going to happen if you're focused on the right things. And what you talked about, people, we've talked about, surrounding yourself. You're the sum of the 5 people you hang out with the most. So often do people, when they have those challenges and tough times, they go and isolate. They get away from the people that are talking the growth mindset and all that. They stay isolated, and they stop listening to the information. We might be talking, and we might be talking to you, and you might feel like turning this podcast off because you don't want to listen to this kind of information. It's a possibility. But what you said, during that time, like I leaned into one of my coaches, like he puts out motivational like mindset talks every single day. And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go back and I'm going to start listening to old ones and just kind of refresh my memory on the things that we've talked about before. And because, I wanted to get into a negative mind space too, but it's like, how am I going to get out of it? Well, I'm going to listen to somebody to kind of coach me through that stuff. And that was so beneficial to me. And then he was like, hey, exhaust the body to tame the mind. So go to the gym, get a workout in, exhaust, get that work done, and then things start to clear up for me.
There's 2 things I want to hit on. So surrounding yourself with people is important. One thing to avoid doing the best you can is don't revert. Whenever we get fear in our head, those dark thoughts get put in a corner. You can either move forward and figure it out, or a lot of people do revert. And when I say that, it could be reverting to their past self. It could be drinking again. It could be drugs again. It could be those negative things that you completely got out of your life to better yourself. But when things get tough, you revert to that. And that's one thing that you need to avoid doing, is reverting. You've grown from there, and you know why you don't do that and how not to. So don't let that be something in your head. The other thing that I wanted to touch on is, when you look at successful people, the people you look up to, they could be somebody local, they could be a guru, but when you think about the dark thoughts, the challenges, the stress, and you think to yourself, I want to be on their level, I want to get there, they have a magnitude more of challenges and stressors that they've gone through. So it is so important to find the willpower inside of you to be able to get through those challenges. If that truly is your goal and your vision, to be this big person, you need to be able to withstand it.
Yeah, and 100% honesty, there was a time a couple of weeks ago when I was like, man, it would be so easy for me to have a drink right now. That thought skipped through my mind for just a fleeting moment, and as it came through my mind, I'm like, well, that's not who I am anymore. So, but those those thoughts still show themselves from time to time, and a different version of me could have given in and listened to that at some point in my life, but not anymore, because I've been able to build, with consistency, that discipline to say, okay, this too shall pass. Whether it's a good time or a bad time, this too shall pass. I always kind of go back to that. And it's like, lots of times when I think we're in the worst place that we've ever been, we've gotten through the worst day 100% of the time, and we're going to have great days ahead of us. I know we're going to have great days, and there's going to be bad times that happen, but we're not going to stop. And you were talking about kind of going back to your routines and stuff like that. And when I was on vacation, I was kind of out of my routine, but I was surrounded with the people that matter the most to me. So I got to just be surrounded by my family, and I got all this extra family time during that time. And I was still getting I didn't hit the gym when I was in Maine, but we were hiking and doing all of the trails and doing all that kind of stuff. So I was still out there exhausting my body and doing that kind of stuff. And yeah, maybe I was eating a little bit differently. I was eating a lot of seafood, but there was a couple times I had some pancakes. Those were good. Actually, I thought about you. I should have taken a picture. I did eat a donut while we were there, but it was a potato donut. In Maine, they have donuts that they make out of potatoes at this place. Delicious, by the way, but it was made with potatoes, so it was a little bit healthy.
Yes, fried potatoes are healthy.
But I mean, that was it. I was surrounded by the people that I care the most about, and that care the most about me, and so my mind wasn't wandering off to those different things too.
Yeah, it's just so important to have kind of that mental recognition, probably, of whenever those thoughts do arise. Like being able to be like, oh, that shouldn't be here, or that's negative or not good, and kind of have a system or structure on how to deal with it. Because one of the things with me is if I get extremely frustrated, angry, pissed off about something, I will just go to the gym. I want to lift heavy stuff. I want to listen to loud music, and I don't want any interruptions. And then I will be good. But try and figure out what those little routines, habits, tips, and tricks are for you, because everyone's going to have something different. If you like running, you might go outside and run. That's not me. I do enjoy being outdoors, but I would rather lift weights.
Just getting, going back and connecting with nature is so good. When we've both been at these national parks lately, and just admiring the beauty around us in these places. Like I was talking about, we were sitting on a cliff watching the ocean crash with these massive trees in this forest behind us. And all I could do is sit there and think of how grateful I was to be in this place. With everything that we had been going on, I was just sitting there like just amazed by the natural beauty. And then one of the nights, we went up to the top of Cadillac Mountain in Acadia National Park, and we watched the sunset. From the tallest point in Maine, we watched the sunset and all the colors changing. It was absolutely incredible. And then as soon as the sun set, everybody that was up there, pretty much 99% of them got up and just took off and went down the mountain. So we're not leaving. We're staying here. And we just stayed until you couldn't see the light from the sun anymore. And then the sky, all the stars opened up because it was completely black up there. And I was like, so many people miss this. They saw that beauty, but they missed this beauty. And I was like, I didn't even want to leave because it was so beautiful up there. We don't get to see the sky like that when you're in town and all the light pollution and all that's going on. But it was incredible. It was a moving experience, and I was just like, I'm so grateful for the life that we have, and with all the challenges that we face and everything that's going on. I'm sitting here with the people I love, looking at the stars. What could be any better than this?
So coincidentally, we did watch new Disney movie yesterday called Hoppers.
Oh yeah,
which is funny. It's a good movie, but the story is based around a granddaughter and grandma. That's kind of the connection in the movie. And in the beginning, they go and sit on a rock in front of a pond. And the grandma just says, I know you're stressed, angry, upset at life. Just sit, watch, and listen. And when you can sit there in silence and just take in the beauty and everything that is around us, and it could even be being grateful for your situation. If you can be in nature, awesome, but give thanks to where you are and what you've accomplished and all of the success that you've had. Because we're going to continue to have tough challenges and stress that comes up, but if you can show the gratitude and give thanks to where you have gotten to, it makes those small things not feel near as bad.
Yeah, and we've talked about that, the 1-star reviews in your business and those kinds of things that we overanalyze and like you were talking about, making things more complicated than they need to be. It's like that was one blip on the radar.
Yep.
All of the things that you've been able to accomplish, the years of business and in this, and like, why are you going to let one person or one small challenge or hiccup like derail everything that you've built and done and that and think about all the people that you haven't impacted yet. Like, if you stop now, who's going to miss out? Kind of like goes back to when I talk about sharing on social media, who's missing out because you don't show up. And it's the same thing. If you decide that you're calling it quits, like, who's going to miss out because that's what you decided?
There's a bigger picture than just us as individuals. And whatever your mission or calling is, there are people relying on you. So be the best version of yourself that you can be. We all go through tough times. And if anyone listening is going through something tough or needs someone to just listen, we are both here. So feel free to reach out. It's not easy. It's worth it. And you can get through anything that life throws at you. It's just going to be a little challenging for a minute, and then you're going to have, most of the time, a very cool story to tell about it.
Yeah, exactly. Like we talked about, surround yourself with those people. So, sometimes it's reading books for me. Sometimes it's listening to podcasts. Sometimes it's reaching out to people that I follow on social media that I follow and I trust, and I see what the things that they've built and gone through and all that. And like Chase was talking about before, anybody that's built anything of significance or importance and success has gone through way more challenges than you'll ever know. And most of those people love to share those if you ask about them too.
On that note of those people, one of the things I wanted to say is when I started meeting business owners that were at a level of success, wherever that looked like, I always thought to myself, why aren't you stressed? Why don't you seem worried? Why do you not have any negative thoughts? And it's because they built their mindset around it, and they've been through big challenges, and the small stuff is not stressful for them because it's just kind of a routine thing.
That just like made me think of the Incredible Hulk in the Avengers. His secret was he was always angry.
Yes.
But yeah, he got to a point where he could deal with that, and yeah, that's funny. But no, I really enjoyed this episode. I really enjoyed this topic. I mean, it was definitely top of mind. For me, for the things that I'd been going through, and like I said, I'm an open book. I love to share and talk about the things that are going through, because through my experience, maybe I can help share something that's gonna help somebody else in their life.
Awesome. Trying to think of some homework / takeaways. I would just say that figure out some sort of protocol in your head that when something is challenging, some thought is in your head that shouldn't be, figure out a way to extinguish it. figure out what that fire extinguisher looks like, because that's a fire we need to put out. And it could be any of the things Dana or I said, working out, running, books, podcasts, but figure out what that thing looks like for you. That way you are ready, because it is very difficult when it just lingers and doesn't go away. So figure out what that outlet looks like for you.
And review your insurance policies. Make sure that you're covered for anything that could possibly happen inside your life and your business. It's so important. So this has been the Consistency Engine Podcast. I'm Dane Patton. With me, Chase Collier. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful day.